Oh, why did it do that? That's the most annoying thing in the world. Anyway, what's going on, YouTube? Welcome in. I realized that that shouldn't be doing that, by the way. I wonder why it's doing that. Why is it doing that? Anyway, what's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the channel. We appreciate you guys, as always, taking a little bit of time out, coming and hanging out with me, talking all things cryptocurrency. It is Friday night. You know what Friday night is? It's the night before I have a day off. Whoa, too bit. It's all crap. I was coming in tonight with like, I'm going to be super hyped up. I'm bullish, bro. I mean, I'm not bullish at all, by the way, but we can be. I've got some pretty insane news for you guys tonight. Hopefully you guys have seen it. And I have a little bit of secret alpha for you guys that is indicating right now that the bull market is still coming. And this is insane, all right? So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you better stick around, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Left my tea bag in the tea tonight, which is never great, but we'll finish it. Got my Christmas Pugs mug. So yeah, 2025 was supposed to be the year. Sit tight, Mr. Lambo, because I might have something pretty bullish for you in a minute. But anyway, welcome in as always. Do me a favor, hit the like button to a brand new all-time high. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I highly recommend doing so. Also, TikTok fam, if you can press this little button here, this shares us out, lets people know that we're live. If you've got people that are freaking out in the market right now, maybe you're freaking out yourself, I don't know, then let them know that we are here. I'm not saying that we can fix everything. All I am saying is that, look, we're going to talk about it and hopefully come to some sort of conclusion, answer, or maybe we all just panic and it all goes to zero and we wish we'd sold at 100 and whatever it was, 25K. But anyway, enough about all that nonsense. Let's get into a little bit, like I said, and I have some absolute alpha that obviously I can't show you guys on TikTok because TikTok then decides to ban me and all that kind of crazy shit. But YouTube, you guys can see it and you can hear it. But this is, in my opinion, the biggest pivot news we've had today. The end of the bear market. The bear market that's lasted about 2 weeks. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this, people? This is pretty wild. TikTok, listen out. YouTube, check this mother trucker and what he has said.
Bitcoin is like at 81, and you're looking at what I regard as being the single worst moment in this decline was the moment between 330 and 430. And then Williams comes on, and then suddenly everything's fine. I don't think so.
You don't think everything's fine?
No, there's a lot of people who have to get out. Let them get out. This is not what suddenly they wave a magic wand. We always have real issues. We have issues with the building out the data center unlimited. We have issues with a lot of people, you know, the strategies.
Good news, everybody. Jim Cramer went bearish on Bitcoin. Yes, we are saved. The reverse Cramer is officially in effect. Did you know that when he actually stated that Bitcoin rallied from the low of 80,300 back to 85,000? Anyway, I'm joking. But his track record is pretty bullish, in fairness. So Jim Cramer officially is telling us that the market's going to be absolutely freaking fine and that we should all just get absolutely super bullish and super mega bullish on the market. Anyway, the reverse Cramer is fully in effect. Liam, what's going on? Says Haven 2-bit. I've bought the dip. What's going on, baby? Welcome in. Don't know why I called you baby, but welcome in. So yeah, good to see you as always. Crypto Cali, welcome into you as well. Casey in the building, moderating it down. Rafa, I said hello to you, so welcome in. Casey in a heartbeat to you live. What legend. Cash is here. J18, what's going on, buddy? Welcome in. Shizlord. Shizlord in the building. What a great name. And welcome to everybody on YouTube as well. So shout out to you guys. Okay, let's do a little bit of charts and then we'll get into kind of everything and anything else that's been going on in today's market. So here we go then. How did we play out yesterday? We were talking about potential price targets. Well, we absolutely shit the bed on the 86,595, which then means that you kind of say, well, 2-bit. That means that this is the move we're interested in. This is officially the bull market move. So we're going from the bottom here of 2024 September, before we got that first rally up. This becomes the key point of all of this. And then you play it out. You can see the resistance and how they play out here. You can see the upper lanes here. And then equally, you can see the tops and equally the middle range here. So this is kind of playing out. What you can see here as well is on the Fibonacci, on the 236 Fibonacci, even though it's a 382 2-bit, get your fucking shit right. Look at it. Look at how close that was. So we can officially now say that our Fibonacci long-term is this setup, okay? So we can start to play off a couple of these price targets and a couple of these ideas that maybe we start to see these kind of things play out. So we obviously said potentially we could see 85K. We absolutely destroyed 85K. The next price target was 80,838. If you remember, we touched on that. I think it was like Tuesday or something. It was quite a way back when, which then aligns us to the lower range that I guess the bottom in would have been around 70,000, which again, if you kind of assume we get to that level, then this kind of plays out lowest where it was between 57 and 60K if you saw that live stream. But yeah, pretty interesting that we hit bang on the 382 Fibonacci. Now, if you didn't and haven't gone and seen the video I put out earlier on today, which was all about the reason the market is doing what it's doing, I highly recommend you guys watch. Remember, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency economy videos come out 11:30 a.m. every single day. And then we have a wider view in the afternoon, which is anything from Ethereum, your favorite altcoins, XRP videos. If you haven't already seen, go and watch this one here. Crypto is bad, really bad. Must watch if you're still holding. This talks about the Japanese carry trade that everyone is freaking out. And if you watch it, in my opinion, by the way, it is only my opinion, that there is an element, okay, I'm not going to go much further than that, but there is an element that actually the markets may be a little bit more bullish than I think a lot of people believe right now. Hard to understand, hard to kind of really piece together given that the market's an absolute shit show. But anyway, go and watch that video. Over 2,000 people have already watched it. I recommend it. While you're there, by the way, click the join button, become a channel member. Definitely worth it. But go and watch that video. Highly recommend it. Worth your time. Okay, so yeah, when we kind of talk about price targets and we talk about, well, the stimulus isn't actually that good, Tim. That's the problem. And well, it's probably not fair, actually. The stimulus isn't a bad thing as long as the carry trade doesn't unwind. But people are trying to front run selling the carry. It's fucking crazy when you start to look into it. Like it is insane when you look at what is happening and why the markets are tanking. And this is kind of why you're getting such a divergence between the Bitcoin and general stocks. Like it's insane, to be honest. So, but what you've got here is some pretty interesting price analysis and equally, you know, some kind of key price ranges. So we're looking for a potential break back above. Where do we feel like the correction has then come in and the reversal happens? 89,504. Stick that on your pad because we get to that point, you could argue a reversal's in play. Now, clearly there'll be a couple of other little price points that'll walk through and that'll come in that you can argue that, well, you know, reversal back up, probably retesting something like 83.8 is probably not a bad shout, but we did rally back up to about 85,000 earlier on in today. So we could definitely sort of see this. Begin to play out. Liam, thanks for the rose, my man. Appreciate it. We definitely start to see this play out a little bit more favorably as this market kind of wakes up. Now, what have you got? Well, look, Ethereum respected this lower range that we talked about the other day that we've had on this chart for literally, I mean, I don't even know how long it's been on here, but you can see how it kind of plays out. And then the rest of the altcoin market, well, it's just the altcoin market. It got absolutely slammed today, unfortunately. Solana down 127. XRP at 194, albeit holding up pretty well against the rest of it. Sui at 137 just continues to capitulate. The interesting ones, Will There Be Financial, actually looks okay. In the grand scheme of things, Will There Be Financial actually looks fine. Asta was up a little bit, 3%, so nothing super crazy going on. I can't believe Chainlink's $12. I mean, Jesus, imagine like that. And then you've got the kind of, the kind of meme market getting absolutely slaughtered as well. So Will There Be Financial? Whiff down 15, Brett down 13, Shiba Inu down 6. What's interesting when you start to walk through some of this, though, is Coinbase shares actually pushed back up. Copper Trade started to push back up. You also had the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 rallying back as Nvidia tries to close the day out, or did try to close the day out green. Pretty interesting. Now, one to note here, MicroStrategy, we'll touch on it in a little bit, or what was MicroStrategy is now, I guess, strategy. Still dumping. Like, there is a really interesting narrative playing out with this. And yeah, we'll talk a little bit about what Michael Saylor said in specific relation to this. Broke the 200 EMA. So right now, you know, strategy's going down, baby, and it is going down way lower. I think you're going to see something like 125, maybe even a little bit lower, maybe even 112. Might be an opportunity to buy the dip if you feel like it. Again, don't forget, you're going to get about 10% yield on them if you're interested. But yeah. What do you think about BTC's next move? And what do you think about BTC's next move? Good that you posted it twice. I still think we're in a bearish sentiment right now, but we're going to talk about some things now that I just think you should pay attention to, because these could be the indications as to why the market may be doing what it's doing. It doesn't really make sense. And we've sort of said this, haven't we, for a while. It doesn't really feel it doesn't really feel like it should feel. And that may just be complete naivety. That may be just us trying to like, rationalize why maybe we didn't sell at the top. But again, there is so much data to suggest this isn't the right thing. And there's been some pretty interesting statements today. Stephen Mirren talking, we'll see if we can get that clip later on, because that was pretty interesting where Stephen Mirren went to actually. And then obviously we had the complete counter argument, albeit people still feeling relatively optimistic about a rate cut. And if you look at where rate cuts are right now, they have skyrocketed, doubled, in fact, over the course of the last 24 hours. Ask yourself why that is. Okay, so we'll touch on that, and we'll potentially even get into some of those individuals in a little bit. So let's talk about what the hell is going on, and then let's talk about kind of where the market may go, and I guess what is probably important to look at over the course of the next few days. Hi, what do you think? Where do you think XRP will go under 1.5 euros? No, I don't think so. I think the lowest I think XRP would go, assuming that we don't have a complete market meltdown, and we'll talk about why that might happen versus why that might not happen. My view, by the way, was I think XRP doesn't really get lower than probably the 100-day EMA, which is around 185. I think it went close to it. Wicks, I don't really count. Closes, I count. So I don't think XRP goes much lower, only because you've got pretty big accumulation for ETFs. You've got a load more coming online next week. And actually, as it goes, XRP is a pretty solid coin. I'm not going to say investment because that's not the right thing. Trump is live. What is the impact of his speech? Isn't he with Mondani or whatever he's called? So I don't think it's going to be a big deal, to be honest. I can't imagine New York's going to all of a sudden start getting super bullish on cryptocurrency with Mondani at the helm, if I'm honest. But anyway, so that's my view on XRP. I don't necessarily think it goes much lower. We need some bad news to make it pump, and when we get good news, it dumps bad. I mean, at the minute, when we get good news, it dumps. When we get bad news, it dumps. So we'll see. Gordon says, hey, Tim, what is not speaking about crypto treasuries? Hearing lots of market maker dumping everything, and that should be done in about 2 weeks. Any thoughts, Stu? But yeah, well, there's lots of correlations between 2021 and now, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. In that the assumption is market makers' balance sheets. That's why you had, I think it was the rumor mill, and rumor mills start from generally things happening, didn't they? So Wintermute suing Binance because they got liquidated, their balance sheets got fucking wrecked. So they're trying to drive liquidity. I was watching something really interesting earlier on, and it talked about liquidity in the market. Well, what's the biggest driver of liquidity into the market? Stimulus. How do you stimulate markets? You give them free money. Fed secretly printing about $6 billion worth of treasury bonds, but they're not selling them to foreign countries. That's pretty interesting as well, because historically the Fed has always done that. The biggest buyers, China, Asia, Southeast Asia, they've always been kind of big buyers of US treasuries. And the Fed balance sheet here, you can see kind of did tick back up a little bit, as we sort of talked about last week. This was kind of the Fed printing just a miniature school, and then obviously they continued to push down, but we'll talk about that a little bit in just a second. So there is loads of arguments to say that this is the similar sort of story of 2021 before we went absolutely parabolic. Lots of people believe that you have a 4-week cool off and then boom, here we go. Just doesn't really align with any dates. That's the problem. What's going on, Billy Bob? If it dumps bad 0.38 XRP, I mean, that'd be pretty wild, but I don't see it personally. I don't see it. Rocket Mortgage wrecked. Back up the truck, Joe, bro. Well, yeah, I know 140. It's a low. I mean, maybe, but I mean, we'll see. You've got lots of inflows into ETFs. Anyway, let's try and dive into exactly what's going on. What do we need to be aware of? We're going to head into some pretty heavy macro stuff. So again, worth noting. By the way, I'm not really going to talk too much about the Japanese carry trade, but I am going to talk about it a little bit. So if you haven't watched my video, we'll sort of touch on it as we sort of walk through this. So the US top 10 companies dominate world equity markets. Top 5 US tech firms alone have a collective value of $17.6 trillion that exceeds the combined GDP of the Japan, India, UK, France, and Italy. Think about that. So why have you got the stock market going absolutely crazy? And this is a narrative I think a lot of people are spinning wrongly. Everyone's like, oh, the stock market's fucking booming. Like, why is crypto down? No. Generally, 50% of the stock market is dog shit. And actually what you've got here is just a group of 10 US stocks that are absolutely flying. Think about this. Nvidia, just by itself, even though it's had a pretty heavy dump over the last 2 days, it's still got a higher market cap value than Japan, India, Apple, the UK, France. Like, think about that. It's insane. Like, equity markets, Nvidia's market cap is bigger than the entire UK equity market. Like, that's pretty wild if you think about it. And what you've got there is you've got the fact that at 24.5 trillion, the reality is more than any other entity. So again, this is kind of important as we sort of walk through the next few bits, but This is like, it's massive, okay? But it's massive on 10 companies. Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, who else? Tesla as an example. Now, interestingly, Tesla owns Bitcoin and, Meta allegedly is, looking to position themselves in some Bitcoin. But anyway, so this is why you've got this decoupling, I think, and why the market has decoupled, which is important. Sound is different. Or is it really? Oh, you guys always say this. I don't think it is. Is it because this is over here somewhere? Is that, hold on. Is that any better? Is it because it's like down here? There we go. Try that. Is that any better? Let me know if that's better, TikTok. It's like an echo chamber. It shouldn't be. Is that better? All right. Yeah, it's better. All right, cool. BI95, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Okay. So continuing on with this. So this is why you've got this decoupling. Now, people are like, oh, the stock market is booming. Like, so this is kind of where Trump's narrative is. He's like, the economy's amazing. We're creating loads of new jobs. No. The top 10 companies in the US are amazing. The rest of it, absolute dog, right? So this is important to understand. While at the same time, you've got this record boom in stock markets. Think about it. How does the price of certain stocks go up? If you ask something like Nvidia with a $4.6 trillion market cap, how do you move that 6%? Think about that, right? So time to do some maths with 2-bit. It's always worthwhile. You have $4.6 trillion, okay? Which is a lot of zeros, by the way, if you don't know. How do you then work that out to get 6%, okay? So what is 0.6? So $2.7 billion you need to inject into Nvidia to move it about 6%. Okay. Who the hell has got $2.6 billion? Big companies. When you think about it, who's got $2.6 billion to spend? Nvidia. Not Nvidia because they're buying their own stock. Anyway, top 10 US companies, Microsoft, Apple. We heard Meta invested in Nvidia. We know that, man, where's that chart I had? I put it on one of my, things. OpenAI buying Nvidia shares. Why? Because they're leveraging huge amounts of debt and they're probably going to go bust at some point. But anyway, let me show you this. This. So Nvidia holders. So people that are holding these shares, and this is kind of important because it is important to understand why and how you move this. Vanguard, BlackRock. Okay, so did you know? And some of you might know, by the way. Did you know that BlackRock is the second biggest holder of Nvidia shares? Did you know that? You may not have done. You may be like, 2-bit. Jesus Christ, this is why I come to your live stream, because it isn't just like, oh, the market's got a fucking zero. Or it's like, oh, I think I just put 50 grand in a big red dog. You should also do the same, like you massive set of dickheads. Anyway, you also got JP Morgan Chase in there as well, FMR, all this kind of stuff. And then you sort of get into what do they hold? iShares Trust. So they hold S&P 500s. Blah, 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 right? So loads of people own Nvidia shares, okay? So lots of people in the top 10 companies own shares, right? Who else owns shit tons? BlackRock. Now, do you not think it's pretty interesting? You've got Nvidia going absolutely wild. The whole AI narrative bubble going pretty insane. And all of a sudden, we're seeing the most aggressive selling out of IBIT shares. Now, think about where Bitcoin, in fact, we should do this. We should look at Bitcoin on the weekly candles, and then we should overlay Nvidia's, and let's see what Nvidia looks like. Let's see what we can do. Okay, perfect. Look at this. Perfect. Tim with a gifted membership. Thank you so much. SR grabbing that benefit. Welcome in, Tim. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Welcome to the crew. Grab that channel membership. Get excited. Feel free to use your emojis if anyone else wants to join, by the way. It's literally an absolute steal. It's about $8 a month. Absolutely delightful. So Nvidia, let's make Nvidia the line for this in big old Nvidia green. And we'll make it dotted. Oh, look at that. That's freaking perfect. That is perfect. So I need to change the EMA though, because that EMA is going to get annoying. What color should we do with this EMA line? Blue? Light blue? No, not light blue. Let's do it as, yeah, let's do it as pink. Pink's fine. Pink's fine. Okay. So Nvidia is the green dotted line. Again, you can see the decoupling in some respects to Bitcoin, while at the same time, in some respects, kind of following the Bitcoin price. Where Bitcoin has historically seen a dip, though, we've seen Nvidia outperform. Likewise, we saw something similar happen here. When Bitcoin starts to perform, Nvidia starts to dip. So if you argue you have an uptrend here in BTC and you've got a downtrend here in Nvidia. Now, again, this is speculation. I'm not telling you it's absolute facts, but I think it's curious and worth noting. So you've got massive outflows of BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust. Nvidia's pumping to the moon. Lots of news about Nvidia potentially starting to sell their chips back to China. So it was announced the other day, I don't know if you saw in the kind of earnings data that was released in the news afterwards, that Nvidia is 100% out of Chinese-made chips. Now, we'll talk about China in a minute because there's some crazy shit going on with there, but you have basically got this like massive AI bubble that we think is probably going to go on for a little bit longer. I don't necessarily think there's a reason why the AI bubble pops. You've got Nvidia that just seems to be going absolutely crazy and making stupid gains. And then all of a sudden you've got this kind of pivot from iShares where they're dumping shit tons of Bitcoin and going into Nvidia. Imagine the call was, guys, I think Bitcoin's on a downtrend. Let's get into Nvidia. Let's rocket that thing up. Let's pump those bags. And we're seeing exactly the same as that. Now, what you've also then got is this kind of crazy back and forth with the Federal Reserve fund rates. Think about this. Fed reserves can inject capital into the market by reducing rates. Simple as that. Less interest means people borrow more. Now, the problem you've got, though, is, and I don't think I've got this chart, so you're going to have to bear with me 1 second. The problem you've got is you've got an insane amount, like literally an insane amount of margin debt. And we've sort of talked about margin debt a little bit before. Not like super crazy, but the fact is, everyone is like leveraged to death. Okay, so you can see here, US margin debt on the S&P 500 is literally an all-time high. Like people have got so much debt in the market that this is kind of where people are freaking out. What's going on, GC man? Good to see you, buddy. So people are totally like losing their mind that there is so much leverage debt, and then this will come on to what I'm about to talk about next, which we'll discuss the Japanese carry trade and why that's kind of almost unwinding markets a little bit, almost unnecessarily as well, which is pretty crazy. But so people are massively over leveraged. So people are so desperate for a rate cut, but the rate cuts are like no one knows what's going on. Like it's almost insane. Jobs market is weakening, but then you get data that comes out to suggest that the jobs market's fine, or it was in September. You then get Trump saying, nah, CPI is not coming out as well. So you're going to go 2 months without CPI data. The only CPI data you've got was relatively good. So the Fed's sort of got to go into their, potential FOMC meeting going, well, we've got September data and that was pretty good. We know. I mean, don't kid yourselves. They absolutely know that October and November's data is shit. And that we'll see it in sort of December. But we don't hear the tariff conversation and everything else. So this is kind of real uncertainty, particularly with the Fed. Now, what's important to reference here, by the way, it's 70% for a rate cut. It's up. It's literally doubled overnight. Why is it doubled overnight? Everyone that's been speaking from the Fed today has been gone absolutely bullish on where they're going to go. For example, we got Stephen Mirren, and we'll talk about it. And I think we can bring his speech up, but he was like pretty bullish on markets and, stuff that we've talked about before. Oh, can you not talk about it? Oh, it's super annoying. Maybe you can't do it. All right. I thought we could maybe listen to it. Maybe get it on, maybe we'll get it as a feed. But the Fed, generally speaking, looks like they're going to cut anyway. Now, there'd have to be some pretty disastrous data. There was rumors about moving the day, all the rest of it. But this is why you have this kind of change on the Fed rate, because the reality is that lots of people now are going, well, the Fed rate is going to be pretty interesting. Now, you also had this, and I said to you guys the other day that the US has been printing money, right? It's not really a big public thing. They did about $6 billion in treasuries. And what's really interesting here is that China is dumping huge amounts of treasuries. I don't think that's a surprise. We've obviously talked about that. What's interesting on this, though, is Japan is buying a shit ton of treasuries. So Japan's like heavily buying into US treasuries, UK a little bit. But what you can see here is that, generally speaking, that we are seeing a decline in people holding on to US treasuries. China's total holdings now declined by over 600 billion since 2013. China is diversifying from the US dollar, which we know, BRICS and all the rest of it. But this is kind of the backbone of driving inflation down. It's the backbone of basically lending in the US and, bolstering kind of the economy. Is you got an entire economy built upon debt, okay, which is kind of interesting. Now, before we kind of go into the whole Japanese carry trade thing, there is loads of other kind of crazy shit going on as well. Now, you heard me talk about this before, that everyone is like buying gold, like banks, countries, like everyone's like, oh my God, I'm just going to go to gold. Why do people go to gold? gold is generally seen as a good buy in a recessionary environment. Why? It's relatively stable. The price tends to hold up. It will, it'll come back down again. But China's gold ETF record 4.5 billion in net inflow last month, the highest since April. So China ETFs on gold are going absolutely ham right now. That's not the only one though, because, where did I put it? Japan is also doing exactly the same. So Japan is buying an absolute shit ton of gold as well, which is kind of crazy if you ask me. Lots of people seem to be buying an absolute crap ton of gold. Now, okay, stick with me, everybody, because it's about to get wild in just a second. Davo, thanks for the TikTok, whatever it is. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Do you think the alt season will come? You got to believe in an extended cycle to believe alt season is going to come. That's my opinion. So I think we just need to get a reversal trend. That's where I'm at right now. I'm not pricing myself into anything. I just want to see the market hold for longer than 24 hours and a reversal trend come in. It isn't going to happen anytime soon. Certainly not in the next week or two. It may happen in the next month, but let me tell you why. So one of the things I was talking about in my update video for Bitcoin and the economy this morning, if you didn't watch it, 11:30 UK time, it comes out every single day, is the Japanese carry trade. Right? Everyone knows the last Japanese carry trade totally freaked markets out. Everything dumped to oblivion. The markets got washed out. Everyone was fucking panicking that we were going to zero. And all this like over leveraged debt on the Japanese yen because interest rates are, next to nothing, right? Which is fine. What you've got now, though, is you've got the Japanese bond market is going kaboom. Like it's absolutely skyrocketing because people don't want to buy Japanese bonds. People are buying US bonds. People are buying other countries' bonds. Like, people are not buying a lot of these stuff. So what you have then is you've got this kind of unwinding a little bit of the carry trade that's not actually unwinding. It's people trying to front run the unwinding of the carry trade, which is insane, right? People are going, holy shit, I don't want to get left in in a situation like before where I'm going to get, liquidated in the Japanese markets because there is a real fear that they're going to overstimulate the market. Remember, the Japanese interest rate has been literally zero forever. So people can go and get cheap money and then they can, buy stock markets or short the market, or whatever it is, right? So that's the reality of where we've sort of seen it. And the reality is that recently it has sort of been starting to tick up. So you can see here, look, if you go back to 10 years, look at this. This is how freaking insane this is. This is the 10-year view of the Japanese interest rates. It has been at fucking zero, right? It's been at zero since January 29, 2016 to basically February the 29th, 2024, which we got the sort of unwinding the carry trade like about 4 months later on. So now currently sitting at 0.5. I think about that as like an interest rate. It's like 0.5 is pretty insane when you think about all of this. So you've got this like marginal increase in the Japanese interest rates, right? It's 0.5%. All right, cool. That's fine. Whatever. The problem you've got though is that actually it's becoming more challenging to go and get money in Japan to then short US stocks, bonds, equities, whatever it wants to be. So people are going, ooh, like I don't know if you've seen, again, the new Prime Minister of Japan has unveiled this it is absolutely fucking crazy, right? And I promise I'm going to get to the Bitcoin stuff in a minute, right? This is important to understand. $135 billion stimulus to spur Japanese. Like, she's just like, I don't care, like throw that kitchen sink at the Japanese economy. Let's get this thing moving. Like, holy crap. It is absolutely insane. So what happens generally is if you overstimulate a market, then you have to increase rates. Like it's just facts. Like that's just how things happen. Why? Because you stimulate the market, which gives people lots of money, which means demand outstrips supply. If demand outstrips supply, what do? You basically increase the price, right? It's like as simple as that. So by stimulating the market, she is essentially going to increase demand, but not increase supply. Okay, so this is kind of where it gets a little bit crazy, right? So she's going after things like subsidies in electricity, gas, like literally giving money out to people. I think into things like healthcare and like all this kind of stuff, right? So the fact of this being such a massive thing, everyone's gone, like fuck this, I'm getting out of this, because they're going to overstimulate the market. If they overstimulate the market, they're going to have to put interest rates up. If they put interest up, what happens? Everyone freaks out, gets margin calls liquidated on Japanese trades, like the JPY trades. So then everyone just gets completely screwed, right? Completely screwed. So you've got this market right now that's front running a 0.5% interest rate in the Japanese market. Like, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. New to just bought XRP. Should I secure it in a cold wallet? Yes. Depending on how much you bought and where you bought it. That's all I would say. I'm not like a super weird, like, you know, if you've bought XRP on Binance and you've bought $500 worth, I mean, it's not worth it. If you bought 50 grand, then yeah, I'd probably do that. So again, this is kind of why this is important. So how does this relate back to Bitcoin? Like, how do we get in a world where you've got it in Bitcoin? Well, why people are dumping it? Because they want to get out of fucking risk assets. They want to be in cash. Why do they want to be in cash? Because they think they're smart. They think they're clever. They think the Japanese carry trade is going to unwind. They think the Fed isn't going to cut in December. They think that the markets are over and there's no stimulus, and actually Trump's economy is a load of crap. Now, I can't speak too much on Trump's economy. I'm not an economist, right? I'm not. I'm a self-taught YouTube bloke that actually runs a multi-million-dollar retail business I do run it. I don't own it, by the way, but I run £1 million a week, 1.3 million pounds, $1.3 million a week business, right? That's what I'm accountable for. 12 direct reports, 400 people. That's kind of what I do in my 9-to-5 job. So I understand a little bit on economics. I understand a little bit on money and all that kind of stuff. But you've basically got all these people front running it. Like, people are dumping bonds. They're dumping treasuries. Remember what we talked about with US treasuries, for example. Why do US treasuries go up? Because they basically get dumped. So when they do business CEO of Poundland, can you imagine? Too many people would know who I was. And welcome to 2-Bit Crypto. We're going to bring him on from Poundland. No, not Poundland. I'm in from YouTube tonight. So this is kind of where it gets a little bit crazy. You got this massive like dumping of Japanese bonds and all the rest of it. How does this relate back to the crypto market? People want cash, right? They want cash right now. The problem is people haven't got a lot of cash. And this is why I think you're seeing all this unwind, because people, bounce stretcher, shut up, Jim Bob. People want to be in cash. People want to be ready. That's why you're seeing so much of the Bitcoin in the crypto market dump. But guess what? You're just seeing the USD and USDC dominance skyrocket. People aren't leaving. Now, just so we're absolutely super clear, I haven't just flipped completely bullish in 24 hours. I'm still very much in a world that I think the market's super volatile. I think there's a super risk attached to it. And I do believe we could even see a little bit more downside momentum, right? This isn't retail. That's true. Timmy, you popped my balloon. I thought the stimmy was a good thing. Well, so this is the catch-22, Tim. For Japan, it's brilliant, right? It's great. It's going to boost their economy. It's going to get shit going. For the global markets, it's okay as long as they don't hike interest rates. If they put interest rates up, it fucks everything. That's the risk. So if they stimulate their economy, start to push their GDP up, and don't increase rates, then cool. Like, this is where it all then starts to fall into place, and it's all going to then go to sort of crazy, new all-time highs, and everything's going to be like, oh, it's fine. Nvidia will probably break a $6 trillion market cap and all that kind of stuff, right? The risk and why people are dumping it is they believe it's going to go back up. Think about it. For nearly 10 years, the interest rates in Japan didn't change. That goes through the pandemic. That goes through the 2021 bull market cycle. That goes through the bear market of 22, right? All of that good stuff. It goes through the crash in the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, all of that, right? However, think about this. Since February 2024, so a little over 16 months, they have increased their interest rates 4 times, okay? 4 times. The risk then is they say, well, we're way overstimulating the market. We need to ease back on people spending, or we need to kind of make sure we kind of hold on to this so it doesn't kind of, go the other way and we don't end up just printing to oblivion. They could raise the markets. Think about it, 0.5% raise, 25 basis points raise, while the US is not cutting rates. Therefore, your bonds, your treasuries, whatever capital you've got this over here isn't getting cheaper. You're basically just paying more for exactly the same thing. People are like, nah, fuck that. I know what happened last time. They bunched 1% on, or nearly 1% on. It's a big number. So yes, it's good news as long as they don't increase interest rates. If they increase interest rates, then it's bad news, okay? So with all of that being said, and with all of that, understanding. This is why you're seeing so much buying pressure on gold. So much. And if you look at where gold is right now as a commodity, it's back above 4,000, tracking relatively well here on the weekly. Yes, it's had a bit of a correction there, but gold's still pushing up. And whenever you've got this, like this kind of market that's kind of good, then yeah, gold's going to continue to push up. The S&P 500 is going to continue to push up. NASDAQ is pushing. They're all, they're all sort of pushing up to the upside, which is kind of interesting to see as well. So what do we need to look at then when this relates back to the cryptocurrency market, and how do we come out and play this? Well, look at this. Bitcoin realized losses surged to levels last seen during the FTX collapse. Everyone is freaking out right now. Everyone. All uneducated retail investors are dumping Bitcoin at whatever price they want. Now, you've got to ask yourself the question. Do I believe in an extended cycle or not? Do I think I want to be involved in the FOMO, which is FOMO of dumping, or not? By the way, this could get way worse, right? This could get way worse. Buy time, bull BTC? Not yet. And again, by the way, it's not financial advice. I'm not telling you what to do, but I would just wait and see. That's my opinion, because, today alone, look at what the market did. Why did it do it? Because Trump went, yeah, no CPI. Like, you're not getting CPI data. But again, this is arguably that we're seeing a ton of macro dumping in the market. So what you've got here is institutionalized dumping that are just absolutely dumping the living shit out of whatever they've got when it comes to ETFs. You've also then got OG wallets selling. You've got all the rest of it, right? All of this sort of stuff, which is really driving nervousness in the market. You've then kind of got the Japanese carry trade that may or may not even unwind. This is the crazy part about this. So people are like totally losing their minds. Now, Raoul Pal has a pretty interesting statement, and he says this. I didn't bring this up because it's kind of super hard to read, but he says this: utterly brutal crypto market with relentless, rapid position unwinding and rumors swirling after the 1010 of impaired market maker balance sheets, lending to less liquidity. Just go on, Vern. Lending to less liquidity and someone blowing up. So what he's sort of saying here, and probably rightly so, is this is, again, a liquidity problem, that we don't have enough liquidity in the market. How do you get liquidity in the market? You basically get them to kind of pump rates and all the rest of it. But at the same time, what he's saying here is that you had loads of market makers lose their ass, which is why you've sort of seeing them potentially suing Binance and kind of all that sort of crazy stuff, right? Bits Blaze, what's going on, buddy? Vern, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Pumping the channel. Love it. Thank you so much, bro. Best thing we can do is hodl. This will all play out and there will be a 10, 20 coins really left with all done. I mean, that's possibly true as well. Cobalt says, buy the dip for God's sake. It reminds me of the 2021 when in a 4-week period, Bitcoin fell 56%, ETH fell 62%, and Solana fell 68%. It then sharply reversed and exploded to new highs. That sell-off was as baffling as this one. Why? Because again, people are like 4D chessing the markets, which is insane, isn't it? People are like, oh, I'm going to sell before anyone else. It's like the strategy situation, isn't it? Everyone's like, everyone thinks strategy is going to go bust, which would be like, I don't even think it's possible, but with the macro backdrop still so positive, it's hard to think that we won't see something similar here. Sharp recovery, but massive downside volatility like this is not easy for anyone, and not certainly something, thanks, Vern, I expected to see at this stage, but it's also not out of the normal. Like we said, lots of people just totally freaking out and selling their bags. Back in 2019 and 2020, we had a negative 72% sell-off in a bull market, but the sell-off was exacerbated, obviously, by the pandemic. Back in 2016, 2017, we had 7 sell-offs of over 30%. The current price actually showing no signs of letting up, yet even though we are massively oversold, but having lived through huge rapid de-risking events before in many markets, this too shall pass. My strategy is to add into these sell-offs, but I'm okay with large swings in P&L. In the long-term, multi-year trend, I've explained many times, but everyone's circumstances and time horizons are different. Good luck out there. It's ugly and made harder by the lack of actual negative news outside of price. So again, his point here is that oh, well, maybe he's going to dump the entire market. Like, you just have to ride out some volatility and see kind of where we get to. MA Vibe says, do not think you just talk too much. What else do you want me to do? Just sit here and stare at the screen? Is that not weird? I mean, I can do it. Like, I can do this. Look, watch. Where is it? There you go. Look at that. Now you don't know what I'm saying. All I'm saying is we all hate people on TikTok, especially you dickhead that said that I speak too much. So, I mean, yeah, I could do that if you wanted to, or you could just scroll on. It's up to you. But anyway, the point here is that, is this going to move on? That's the question, isn't it? That's the difficult thing that we have to try and answer as we walk through this. And like I said, there isn't a ton of problems. There isn't a ton of macro stuff that's basically telling us that it's all bad news. Like, it's simply not telling us it's bad news. Okay, well, then in that situation, we've got to be in a world of saying, maybe, just maybe, the best of the market is yet to come. Doesn't feel like it, and we've talked about this previously. Max fear in the market generally means that this is an opportunity to buy. The problem we've got at the minute is whenever you think the bottom's in, it just seems to keep going. But think about it. At one point today, we were 6%. We were 6% negative. We're back to 1.9. So the market's kind of held up a little bit. I'm not going to say it's like super crazy bullish because it's really not, but it is kind of worth noting on that point as to kind of where all this sits, in my opinion. I don't think any crypto experts are really giving insightful info. Be honest, nobody knows. Yeah, 100%, Jay. I mean, I literally said that. The reality is, all you can do is try and piece together a strategy that you feel it's right for you. That's all you can do. And no one really knows where the market goes. All you can do is generally look at what is trends showing. So for example, right? Yeah, exactly. So Cobalt makes a really good point that you've got massive selling in a loss. Well, that's stupid. It's stupid. Like, let's just call it as it is. If you bought Bitcoin at 125K and you dump it at 80K, like why? Like, why would you dump it? Why would you take a 45K loss? Because you think it's going to zero? Well, I mean, maybe. I mean, is the market going to go to zero? Are we really going to lose a $3.5 trillion market? Doesn't feel like it. XRP's holding up all right, Fairground. It's like 195. As long as it's not MicroStrategy. I mean, that's love it if he was watching it. Yeah, that would be wild, actually. That would be wild if that was true. So yeah. So, you know, I don't understand why people would do it. Now, given kind of where our pals are, he could be wrong. But again, you look at the macro data and you say, when does bull markets normally end? Quantitative tightening. When things get way overcooked, recessionary fears coming, people are like, man, I'm super panicking here and we need to do it. I wonder if we can get, it's probably not going to bring up what I want, actually. Probably not going to bring up what I want, which was any sort of indication of potential quantitative tightening coming in. Because that's generally where bull markets end, is where you almost have to increase interest rates because something's gone pop. Like, you know, that's the reality of it. Whether you've got a massively overheated .com bubble, whether you've got massive amounts of mortgage debt, like all of that, like something has to happen. We kind of don't specifically have that right now in the crypto market, which, by the way, just broke 85,250, which is good news. So this kind of comes in. Now, what are the potential headwinds? And equally, what are some of the more bullish things to think about? Well, let's think about more headwinds. Bitmain, controlling over 80% of Bitcoin ASIC markets, is under a US investigation for potential national security risk. I don't think there's anything. I think this is the US flexing a little bit of muscle, because why not? I bet you £1,000,000 that American Bitcoin, which is the Trump family-owned Bitcoin miner, I bet they mine with Bitmain. I absolutely bet they have good Bitmain miners. So they'll be wanting some sort of discount. Here's my guess, right? Here's my conspiracy theory. American Bitcoin announces in about 4 weeks that they've just increased their their mining capability by, I don't know, 20 petahashes or something, because they just bought like $1 billion worth of Bitcoin miners from Bitmain. I bet you something like that happens. So you got this. Now, what else has been going on in the market? Well, look at this. Tether, using $1 billion of USDT from its own treasury, bought more Bitcoin. Interesting. Tether buying for their reserve. I think that's a pretty interesting statement. And then when you just look at the broader market, look at some of this. The percentage decline from record highs. Oracle is absolutely shitting the bed right now, as is Planeteer, which, you know, these were super overhyped markets. Meta is collapsing. AMD, Tesla, Netflix, Nvidia down 19% from its all-time high. Think about that. Amazon, because Bezos keeps selling. Microsoft, Broadcom. So actually, you've got, as much as we feel a bit crap in the crypto market with Bitcoin dumping, bear in mind, it's a way more aggressive asset. It's a way more volatile asset. Technically, right now, the shakeout's way less than Oracle, you know, which is kind of interesting to think about. So that's kind of where we have to do it. This all feels a little planned with everything. Well, I mean, that's true, Jim Bob. Lots of people believe so. So yeah, well, see, Vern says, nobody ever knows. That's why you have to pay attention every day and listen, but don't. Yeah. Look, you've got to try and, like I said, piece together the puzzles. If you've got generally loose economic policies, loose economic, vibes, generally that's a good sign. That's generally better for risk on assets as opposed to risk off. If you've got, quantitative tightening, you've got restrictive policies, you want to be in gold, commodities, whatever, silver, treasury bonds, go and get 4% on a 10-year treasury. Why the hell not? But if you believe that you've got some positive macro, conditions, then get ready. Wait until the S&P 500 dips to 6,300, then we will skyrocket. Why do you think the S&P dips to 6,300? What's your view? I mean, that would take it down to what? Back to July. That's possible. I'm always curious to understand why. Invest in plastic. Maybe. So, title of the stream, by the way, was The Great Reset. Is this The Great Reset, where you have uncontrollable, irrational selling, which would align to the rate in which we are selling from even the biggest institutional markets? Think about it. It's the first time BlackRock's had exposure. And remember, it isn't BlackRock. This isn't Larry Fink dumping it. This is the BlackRock customer saying, hey, I'm not about this Bitcoin shit anymore. You're still, if you bought in at launch, by the way, I think you're still 2x on the IBIT shares. But maybe this is the Great Reset. Maybe this is what we need. Maybe all this discussion of a 2026 bull market cycle top is it. Or, as always, we head down. I apologize if it offended. I didn't mean that way that you talk too much. I mean that you talk very fast. Okay. I've tried so many times to slow down. I just get super excited about this stuff because when you start to get into something and you go down the rabbit hole of where it might end up, then you sort of get to a place where you end up sort of knowing stuff that other people don't know. And I kind of like that theory. And recently we've been going deep into macro global economics to understand why Bitcoin's doing what it's doing. We've kind of been all right on there. I mean, I was on a live stream with none other than Crypto Vern about 3 weeks ago. And I said, if we lose 108, we're going down, baby. We talked about this yesterday. So I apologize. I will definitely try and slow down. How long will the crash go? Well, I mean, the honest answer is how long is a piece of string? What you need is some kind of reason to reverse. And we sort of touched on this yesterday a little bit, right? We touched on the fact that we need a catalyst to reverse the market. Well, what could that be? That could be anything from the stimulus checks, albeit no one seems to care right now. If I'm honest, no one seems to care. You've also got potentially quantitative easing, the Fed starting to reduce rates, which again, I've been talking about for a while that I believe the Fed could do a double cut in December. Everyone's like, you are literally full of absolute nonsense, too, but you know what you're talking about. Maybe that's true, but we jumped 35% on the fact that a lot of people believe that we should cut rates. The jobs data came in, albeit better. It's still crap. Unemployment data we're not going to get. So the Fed may still decide to cut. That's the question. And that's why I think we got this to move. Also, Ripple rocketing tomorrow is BS, right? Because I don't believe it. Who said that? Yeah, it's nonsense. Do you think the grass is green on the other side? Can you see this line on the side of my head? This is a stress line, look, because I don't understand your question. What do you mean? The grass is greener where? Stock market? Forex markets? Derivatives markets? Holy shit. Go and learn about derivatives markets. Who the hell would invest in that? 85,200. Yeah, the market's actually rallying a little bit, which is kind of good news. So, yeah. The grass is green on the other side. I don't know what you mean though. Worst case scenario, 65k, 200 EMA, but most likely not. I think 75k. Yeah, well, my worst case, bottom of the bear market, 57 to 60k. That's my worst case, by the way. We do have some exciting stuff this weekend, by the way. Monad launches, so that's going to be pretty exciting. We also have Atlantis. If you haven't seen my video talking about this, go and check it out. $520,000 nearly raised in their public IDO. Pretty excited. Monad, obviously backed by Coinbase, could be a pretty interesting launch in a really challenging market, but given what they're going to offer, could be pretty exciting. If you are interested in checking this out, go watch my video, by the way. There is obviously a link in the description. If you want to head over there and see what's going on. If not, I can actually get you it, which is... where is it? Here, look. Not financial advice, never is on this channel, but if you're interested, go and check it out. But yeah, this one's going to launch Monad. A lot of people are talking about it. It's going to be pretty exciting. So, you know, this is going to be a one-stop shop for everything you're going to need to get over on here with all sorts of swaps, perp decks, liquidity pools, staking, like all sorts of one-sided liquidity staking. Like, it's super bullish in fairness. So I definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I did get myself a little bit, so we'll see how it all plays out. But I'm excited, and this is going live tomorrow, which is going to be good news. So definitely look out for that for sure. Right. 75 to 80K. I mean, it depends. Like we talked about this right at the very start of the stream, just really, really quickly. So really quickly, let's just dead quick bring this price up. And again, depending on where you go from a macro standpoint, you know, like as an example, where do you believe that, you know, we start to kind of play out a little bit? The reality is this, what? Oh, fuck's sake. Hold on a minute. You know, 78,925 on the weekly could be a potential 382 Fibonacci. We've been to there before. Lower than that, 67,620, which, you know, you'd argue we get down to that level, we're sort of probably in a world of, you know, potential bear market territory. So definitely worth thinking about. What I wouldn't know, and we talked about this yesterday, by the way, look at the RSI. This is the weekly RSI. The last time we were this bad, the bottom of the 2022 bear market. So again, you look about that RSI, we hit this at May, which is absolutely off the peak of the 2021 bull market cycle. Before then, starting to grind our way back higher up to the 24 March rally, followed by a little bit. So RSI like super oversold right now, super oversold. So, you know, this is kind of where my price targets are. Like I said, though, when you're on the daily candles, which we've sort of discussed, we're looking for this kind of break back above kind of a couple of key levels. So again, if we look at just this as a move, which we talked about before, 81,000 we wicked down to. So I'm looking for it break, which would be a confirmational reversal around 89.7. That's kind of what I'm looking for right now. Jamie Kingston, thanks for the follow, man. Appreciate Rami following as well. What's going on, Rami? Good to see you, buddy. I know, and we are filling in the wick. No one seems to mention it, as you said. No one is talking about Bitcoin Core 30 Ether, which could be why OG whales are selling. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Michael, maybe in the building. What's going on, bud? Didn't even see you come in. Atlantis is an app on the Play Store. Yeah. People are finally taking profit, mostly because of the scare, but so they can have something. Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's why you're seeing the sell-off in the stock market. People want capital. Because if the Japanese carry trade unwinds, the Fed don't cut rates, like people want money to buy the dip. Like that's the way it is. Oh, you're talking about ISO 222. Yeah, it's going to be a massive like disappointment just to manage people's expectations. If you think XRP is going to like $100 tomorrow, it's not. And I'm a big XRP bull, by the way. But you know, bear in mind, this isn't a set in stone thing. This was just a move from the old Swift network to a new, more modern network of which XRP or anyone or XRPL could be integrated. Doesn't mean they have. And in fact, I'm pretty sure we would have heard it by now if they have. So, you know, I'd be more interested in those ETF inflows. Raymond, what's going on, buddy? Welcome in. But yeah, I mean, look, it's good news. I wouldn't expect to like get anything super crazy, by the way, on tomorrow. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. By the way, everybody, we got like 130 odd people in the stream right now. Give me a quick thumbs up. Massively appreciate it. Dead easy. Head to the bottom of the screen. Just tap it if you're enjoying the content. You enjoy what you kind of getting here. Also, don't forget the subscribe button. Turn that notification bell to all. That means you get notified on our latest live streams and content that we put out every day. We don't just read headlines on the channel. We're going into macroeconomics. We're going into the data. We're peeling back the onion skin to make sure that you guys absolutely have the best information possible. Like I said, I'm working super hard to try and make sure you guys have got it. Likewise on TikTok, do me a quick favor. Keep tapping that screen. Massively appreciate it. Drop me a follow. Would appreciate all of the love. And again, like I said, important that, you know, we're working hard. And these are the times that really define individuals. If you're not in a world that you think we've got more upside to come, sell, get the hell out of there. You'll feel way better. And if you don't, and then stick around, hopefully we can kind of get into all of that stuff. So yeah, BTC's gone lower than 1010 already. Has it? No, it hasn't. Oh, what am I talking about? Yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah, way lower. I mean, way lower than 1010. Way lower. Great content, Cobalt. Thank you so much. Can you have a what? Do you think crypto has its bottom? I mean, there's arguments to say that yes, it is. Again, though, while you've got this like macro fear in the market, like no, we could go way lower yet. We go way lower yet. So, holy shit, man, says another crypto expert. Okay, I don't ever profess to be a crypto expert. I'm from Yorkshire for a start, so we can't profess to be experts in anything other than generally delivering bread on a cobbled street and making really good cups of tea. That I would absolutely stand by the fact that if you said, oh, here's another tea expert, 100%, I'm your man. Oh, here's another cycle down a cobble street delivering loaves of bread expert, 100%, I'm your man. I've never professed to be a crypto expert. What I can profess to is I'll work hard about what we do. So, you know, we started this journey. Yeah, Yorkshire puddings as well. Fine. Yeah, Yorkshire pudding experts. I am actually a Yorkshire pudding expert. I make great Yorkshire puddings, by the way. But what I would say is we try and just like work through this stuff together. We've, you know, the channel, the YouTube channel that we're live on as well. I can't remember the exact number. I think it was like 10. We put 10 people through technical analysis courses, you know, all that kind of good stuff. Like we tried to set the channel as well as the community to make sure we're absolutely super bullish on what's going on. So no expert here unless you're asking about tea, Yorkshire puddings, and bread deliveries on a cobble street. That'll be, man. By the way, if you haven't already joined my free Discord, link is in the bio. Also, it's in the description if you want to grab a hold of that. Again, it's a cool place to hang out, chill out with nearly 300 other people that are in that Discord. And again, connect with like-minded individuals, talk through thoughts, strategies, opinions, and views, all the rest of it. If you're a little bit more, you want a bot that can do some technical analysis for you or get direct access, I guess, to me. Isn't this live stream? Not that I'm a crypto expert, by the way. I'm just guy that talks about it on the internet. Then become a channel member. You get free access to it, or subscribe here on TikTok as well. It's going to cost you about $8 a month. New VC opportunities, new coins that you can get into. We've had some pretty decent calls recently. If that is what you are into, however, you don't have to. It is just a it's just a free Discord that you can join. All right, no strings attached. So check it out. Right, good. Crumpets forever. LK, what's going on? Crumpets forever. I'll be waiting with Flora spread on the top. Eat them quickly while they're burning. I'm just learning about the crumpets. Anyway, Stardog will only sell my BTC if it hits $60, not a moment sooner. Cobalt 60, buy his book. Whose book? Oh dear. Follow Calvin Hill and you will lose everything. Oh no. Man, I'm not up to speed with a lot of crypto people on TikTok, really. Keep myself to myself. I don't necessarily believe in all these like weird battles and all this kind of nonsense, but yeah. Tib is an expert in breeding whippets. I actually do have, I mean, she's not a whippet, she's a greyhound, but yeah, I actually nearly do have a whippet, to be honest. Anyway, good news in my opinion. Good news in my opinion. So yeah, all right, good stuff. Tib is not an expert in singing. Whoa, bro, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, get out of here. Get out of here. Miners coach 40% ETH. Do you not call them cobs? No, what? That cobs. That means either you're from, where do they call them cobs? Lancashire? It's either Lancashire or Manchester. Which one is it? Cobs. Get the hell out of here. Go on. It must be. It's either Manchester or Lancashire. I don't know which one it is. Jesse, what's going on? Manchester. There you go. There you go. Cobs. Oh dear. Weirdly, I actually work in Manchester, so yeah. Experts in arachnophobia. There weren't spiders. It was a fucking man. They weren't. What was it? I don't even remember. Daddy Longlegs. That's not a spider. It's a flying thing. It's not a spider though. It's not a spider. Anyway. Okay. Over to you guys. If you've got any questions, thoughts, opinions, let me know. Drop them in the chat. We'll bring them up. This is kind of where we go to your part of the show. Oh, I know I didn't talk about. Let's bring up the Michael Saylor announcement, because he went T1000 on some people, like proper T1000 on some, because everyone's been calling the fact that Saylor's going to go bust, like he's going to default. We looked at it yesterday, like he's not going to default on it. I guess what might happen is he might get investors that get pissed and just start to sell, start to sell a lot of the shares. But if you think about it, he's kind of been, I mean, he's kind of played it pretty sensibly. It's a bit like, well, I'm going to devalue the shares so that you can't sell them because they're not worth as much as when you bought them, but you get this yield. So he said this, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if you guys have seen this. Response to the MSCI index matter, which basically they were saying that like, oh, you know, Sailor might go bust, like he's going to default. Like there's a couple of people calling it, like a couple of people saying, you know, look, I'll get into Bitcoin when Sailor goes kaboom. Like it's kind of wild to think about, but Strategy is not a fund, not a trust, and not a holding company. We're a publicly traded operating company within the $500 million software business and a unique treasury strategy that uses Bitcoin as productive capital. Now, I didn't know that it was like I didn't know it was a software company. I just assumed it was like a treasury company. But Tibet are expecting another leg down after consecutive closes under the 50-week. So I think the weekend will be relatively flat. We may even see a bit of a relief rally over the weekend, my opinion. There is no think about who is dumping the market right now. It's institutional money, OG whales. Like OG whales won't dump into low liquidity, in my opinion. So I think the markets may be relatively flat through the weekend. We might get a little bit of a bounce on Sunday, and then maybe Monday it's like kaboom, down again we go. This year alone, we've completed 5 public offerings of digital credit securities. I have an interesting feeling about that. But anyway, representing $7.7 billion in notional value. We also launched Stretch, a revolutionary Bitcoin-backed treasury credit instrument that provides variable monthly USD yield to institutional and retail investors. I mean, if strategy comes down like lower, like I may even buy some. Like, why the hell not? Funds and trusts passively hold assets. Holding companies sit on investments. We create structure, issue, and operate. Our team is building a new kind of enterprise, a Bitcoin-backed structured finance company with the ability to innovate on both capital markets and software. No passive vehicle or holding company could do what we are doing. Index classification. Vincent, welcome to the Discord. Doesn't define us. Our strategy is long-term. Our conviction is Bitcoin is unwavering, and our mission remains unchanged. So, yeah. Still about top of BTC while taking a short. Then he takes profit on the short and buys BTC on the dip. People don't talk about that. Does he? How the hell do you even know that? I mean, it'd be wild if it is. I mean, look, unfortunately, the markets we live in are, well, they're manipulated as cartilage, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I thought it was interesting anyway. I thought that was interesting. Tubby, what's your karaoke song? You Can Call Me Al by Paul Simon. Honestly, or if I'm feeling really crazy, I know all the words to Forget About Dre. which isn't something I generally... Michael, you can't say trust me, bro. You're not a trust me, bro kind of guy. Come on. Someone like you. I've seen the friggin' charts you draw. You can't just be like, trust me, bro. No, that's not how this works. You can't send me a chart that looks like a schematic for a friggin' bridge and then tell me just to trust you. Trust me, bro. I got the receipts, baby. I got the receipts. But yeah. Weirdly, I know all the words to Forget About Dre. So, but you didn't know that? What happens when he's missed the top and it continues up? He just buys more, doesn't he? He doesn't really care about when he buys it. Don't forget, the average, we looked at this yesterday, the sailor, whatchamacallit? Shit, where did I put that? Anyone know? Where? Oh, I know where I put it. It's here. Got it. Yeah, so this is kind of where everything is on the old sailor. So his average buy price, we were looking at this yesterday, weren't we? Where is it? Home here. So the average buy price is 74,433. Like he could buy like a $200,000 Bitcoin and still like not push that. Like he's fine. Now, I mean, the argument is he's pretty close to, he's pretty close to, I guess, the point where he would be down. I mean, he's down down 3%. What's that? $1.9 billion currently on his total market cap. But I mean, it's proper dumping. The other one to think about is Ethermine. Who is it? Let me see if I can get it here. Tom Lee is down like 1.5 billion or something. So yeah, so MNAV is at 0.73 on this. So 9.97 billion is what he's been buying. And yeah, I mean overall I think it's down. BitMine immersion. I want to try and get their balance sheet. Here we go. BMNR. So BNMR, this is obviously the stock price. So, in terms of what they hold versus where they are, like, this is down. Like, he just basically, like, bought the top and just completely, like, fucking wrecked about $2 billion. Those numbers are crazy. But, yeah, but that's when someone said to me, like, I think it's someone like Grant Cardone or someone like that, right? I was watching, like, a short, and they said, if you owe like 6 figures to the banks, so 100,000, 500,000, 600, whatever it is, right? You are in debt to the banks, right? If you owe billions to the banks, the banks are in debt to you. Like, that's the reality of the banks can't afford you to freaking default on it. And so they want to keep you moving because that's how they keep liquid and that's how they keep it in. So yeah, it's a kind of an interesting thing to think about. So there's an argument to say, just go and get, I mean, I don't think me and you could walk into a bank, Rob, and go and get like $3 billion to buy Bitcoin, but it's an interesting thought. Debt in the right way. So the company I work for, we have like, I don't know, I think the last time I looked, it was like $400 million in debt or something, £400 million in debt. That's fine. You just leverage the debt. Like, it's insane. The problem comes when you need to call that shit back, which we are seeing a little bit, but not crazy. Tom Lee acting like your MAGA anti-Yoli and buying e-tops in Euphoria. Yeah. He was talking, let's see if we can find, he did a really interesting interview the other day where he talked about this whole market maker idea. Yeah, I talked about it right at the very start of the stream, Johnny. It is and it isn't. At the minute, the reason the markets are dumping is because everyone's freaking out that the carry trade is going to happen. It's not happening yet. Now, the signs that it's happening are there. But yeah, at the minute, it actually hasn't happened yet. So again, worth thinking about. So yeah, I'm not going to play all of this, but it is interesting to think about when you talk about Tom Lee. So yeah, check this. Not that one. Check this out.
Steve had to say, this is, by the way, not unusual for Nvidia, is it? Nvidia, the good folks at Bespoke, your team, you've recognized that Nvidia will often have these kind of wild swings following earnings. But what is your take right now on these markets?
Well, I think I'm going to kind of add to what Steve said.
Can we just take, this is Tom Lee, who has like multi-billion-dollar Ethereum company. Like, look, it looks like my nan's house. Do you know what I mean?
I think the crypto market has been limping along since October 10th, because on that date was a negative shock. I mean, today's stock market looks a lot like an echo of what happened October 10th. But on October 10th, that liquidation was so big, Brian, it really crippled market makers. And our market makers are critical in crypto because they provide liquidity. I mean, they act almost as the central bank in crypto. And if they've got a hole in their balance sheet that they need to raise capital for, they need to reflexively reduce their balance sheet, reduce trading. And if prices fall, they've got to then do more selling. So,
that's kind of the that's kind of the reality of this. So we know October 10th fucking screwed market makers. So they need to get some money back. They've got to claw liquidity back, and they're doing it by wrecking leverage. They're doing it by margin calling people. They're doing it by, buying low and all that kind of rest of it. Like, it's kind of obvious. If you then get into that place, you say, well, maybe the best of the market's yet to come, like, which could be wild. I mean, why? Just answer. Yeah, thanks, Tim. I mean, I'm going to read it, but why come in with like caps like a lunatic? Crypto leverage account forced sale liquidation causing current market down. October worst labor market will initiate big rate cut in December. Buy the dip. Must be happy very soon. There we go. I mean, you are on the same plane as I am. You just didn't need to come in with massive capital letters like an absolute chopper. Johnny Howie in the building. Oh, everyone, by the way, if you're on TikTok, you should definitely go and follow Johnny Howie. Like, I jumped onto his live. Like, he was vibing with some great music, actually. Holy shit, there was some classic music on there. So go and give Johnny a follow if you want to like vibe out. I don't know if he's actually still live or not, but yeah, you should definitely go and check him out. He was it was cool, and I enjoyed it, and I was in there before I went live. So definitely check Johnny Howie out. What a legend. Go and give him some love as well. Hit him a follow, drop him some likes, all that good stuff. That'd be great. Do you think the market's reverse? It will move up fast, so have a plan in place. I don't necessarily think it's going to move up fast because I think you'll have really tentative markets. How does the market move up fast? You would get in like a total reversal on things like ETFs. Maybe treasury companies start to go ham and buy an absolute shit ton of, crypto again. Maybe that's the place. Andy Smith, what's going on, buddy? Welcome in. So yeah, I mean, at the minute, just kind of wait and see. I think that's the best strategy of all. Wait and see what happens. Even if the market today closes at like 1.5%, that's still bad. Like, it's still not great. And I don't see us at all actually getting back to green. So yeah, I mean, again, though, the market could roll over and we could absolutely be zero. So we'll see. Tim back to number 1. Let's get it, Tim. So like I said, my view right now, sit tight, see what happens. I don't think there's a rush. I certainly don't think there's a rush to do anything. You've still got, in my view, kind of, a good, length of time to get set, in my opinion. And I think that's going to be fine. If investors have to trade out of global assets to pay back their reverse carry loans, how does that affect crypto price? It'll dump. Because people, think about it. If you had, people will always sell crypto first. As insane as that sounds, because the theory is don't put in what you can afford to lose and always pay your bills off first. People will always sell risk assets. It's like, would you close a 500x leverage or 100x leverage if you're underwater? You close the 500x leverage because you're going to lose it quicker. So, the reality is that, yeah, people will always sell risk first. It's just life, innit? It's just life. It took 6 months for ETFs to do anything to the Bitcoin price, so that would be more realistic view for XRP. Yeah, the only difference is the restrictive supply in XRP. That's the only way. So we'll see. We'll see. Sit on your hands and just wait is my way of trading. Jim Bob, I think you're probably in the right place. By the way, too, but I moved to Phoenix to use my market profit on the company. The party will be better for launch. I'm still paying for your trip out when we do it. Yeah, I'm down. I'm trying to this is a serious thing. I'm actually trying to organize a trip out to Canada to see Alvin. Because he's got some crazy shit going on over there. So I want to try and get a live stream out there. I'm going to try and meet up with Vern. I think we said we were going to go to Vegas, Vern, didn't we? So I'm going to try and meet up with those guys. So yeah, if we can time it like in that sentiment. And Alvin could write off my plane trip through the company he's got as well. So I don't even have to pay for it. So I'm going to try and get out and meet Alvin and do like a live stream out there and do a couple of shows and kind of hang out with him, which would be super cool. And then, yeah, try and meet up with Vern, maybe time some sort of Bitcoin conference or something. But yeah, definitely, I want to try and make, the only thing is my missus wasn't particularly happy about it. When I was like, can I go to Canada for like 4 days? She's like, how are you going to go to Canada? And I was like, well, someone I know is going to pay for it. But yeah, it could be, yeah, maybe Michael. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm definitely down for it. Nice. I might have to show up. Yeah, 100% Vern. Alvin was like the Wednesday show. Alvin's like, yeah, we'll fly Vern out here as well. And then he can it's Canada, isn't it? So he can just write it off. But yeah, I'd probably do it in the new year when it's apparently he told me it was like -8, which I'm not about, by the way. I'm not about going into -8. So yeah, we should definitely do it, which would be cool as, and like I said, Alvin can do it. And then, yeah, we'll do like the Wednesday show from like Alvin's shop and kind of all that sort of stuff. Do you believe BTC or ETH is a better entry point? I mean, it's hard to say, really, isn't it? I'd argue they're both the same. What do I think's probably got a better upside? I mean, you'd argue Bitcoin's the longer term benefit, but I mean, they're both at a kind of similar place, really. ETH structurally probably looks a little bit better. Meeting in Aruba, yeah, we can't write after that would be the problem. But yeah, Rick says with some of these green candles, I mean, yeah, look, the market's kind of bounced back a little bit. I mean, it's 85 too, which is insane, but yeah, if you go to like the 30-minute as an example here on BTC, then yeah, we are getting a little bit of a bounce from the bottom. A little bit of bounce from the bottom, which is kind of interesting. So, maybe we get a little bit more to the upside. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, it's really cool. It's wild that you can do that. We have to pay tax on write-offs. So yeah. Hangman, what's going on, bro? Where have you been? If the history repeats itself, the top of the bull run should have ended and alt season should have started. Well, that's true. I mean, if you go on the 4-year cycle, which again could be the reason why we're seeing such market capitulation, then yeah, the bull market's already over. There's lots of reasons at a macro level to say maybe it's not. Maybe it's not quite over just yet. That is the debate that I think a lot of us are having. Crypto usually drops in unwind. Liquidity priority. Crypto is high. Liquidity 24/7. When hedge funds need cash fast, they sell the easiest to sell off. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Michelin, why is crypto down? Why do you feel like you have to type it 3 times? I'm not answering you. Like, just, I do wonder, you know, when people like, you know, Michelin, I'll literally answer it the first time you put in. Like, I try and keep an eye on the chat. If you go to a live stream, you got to ask the same question like 17 times. Like, why are you entertaining that live stream? Why is crypto down recently? So you've got loads of nervousness around the 4-year cycle. The Japanese carry trade feels like people are front running that as a potential unwind. You've got uncertainty in the stock market. People believe the stock market's in an AI bubble that's about to go boom. And then obviously people are going to dump loads of Bitcoin. You've also got the October 10th event. So the massive liquidation event where basically exchanges APIs failed through some stupid glitch. Just loads of fear that's outside of people's control. And then people kind of go, well, that's it. Screw it. I'm out. Maybe the best time to buy. Who the hell knows? Might buy this island we've been looking at in the Bahamas to create a resort. That would be cool if the party was there. That would be cool if the party was there. Yeah, I'm down for that. So before I leave, I need to know who you work for. Sports Direct. I've called a few. You said, no, I don't work for Sports Direct either. The thing is, I'm not going to say who I work for because if I do, then it gets weird. When people get too much information, it gets weird. So obviously the company I work for don't know I do this as well. Although some people do, but certainly not the CEO, and I could do without him knowing, to be honest. 50,000 likes incoming. Let's go. You never know. If you live in Manchester, you might see me one day and you'd be like, oh my God. If you have to commit to this though. If you see me in the street, you have to come running up like, oh my God, it's 2-Bit Crypto. Please can I have your autograph? And I'll be like, whoa, no, get away from me. I told you about that. Now, please do it, please. Especially if I'm with like, let's say like I'm with a girl. Like you've got to be like, oh my God, it's 2-Bit Crypto. I can't believe I've seen you. Like, oh my, please give me your signature. Can you imagine? My missus like, who the hell was that? And I'm like, it's the fans, isn't it? It's the fans. No, I'll give you like $15 for Sui. Oh dear me. I'd never get any work done. 37. There's positive upcoming 70% rate cuts in December. Could that lead to uptrend? I don't think we're getting 70% rate cuts. That's not happening. You might get 50 basis points. Maybe. Shine, what's going on, man? Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Hey, 2-Bit can buy. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we want to go to London and get some pizzas from Mouse's shop. Like, I'm down for that. We should do that. But yeah, it'd be cool. I had someone come up to me. I'm a fan. He said, nice. Funny enough, I've never had that. As much as I think I'm the biggest thing on YouTube ever, I'm really not. I'm just a bloke that talks about crypto on the internet. Anyway, Angel says I will definitely do that. I hope so. It'd be awesome. It'd be awesome. 2-Bit walks around Tesco with masks on like Michael Jackson's. Anyway, with that bombshell announcement, there we go. I don't know what to say about that. Yeah, I mean, it's never happened to me before, but I would love it to happen. It would be amazing. It would actually be amazing to be like, oh my God, are you that guy off the internet? And they'll be like, who? They got Bobby from King of the Hill. Yeah, maybe it's me. Anyway, Axe says we're going down 75k. Maybe look at Axe. He's like, don't care now, bro. Sold out. I mean, turns out there's a great idea, by the way. Turns out that was an absolute monumentally good decision. Just be ready to come back into the market when we get to the bottom. That's the big question now, isn't it? All you're thinking about is, bro, send this mother trucker as low as possible. Get it down there. Yeet this mother trucker to 50k. Oh, dear me. Richard says I can hear whales calling in the distance. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I love that. Axe is just like, send it to 0. Oh, man. That'd be bullish. That would be bullish. And nearly as bullish as if that was actually the real Crypto Wendio. That would be cool if that actually was the real Crypto Wendio that's joined. If it was, send me a DM on X. Let's connect. Let's connect. Why not? Anyway, everybody, that is going to be that. We've been live for, what, an hour and 20 minutes. Man, these streams fly by. Really do fly by, actually. Recently, we've been getting into a lot of the kind of macro data that we need to kind of make sure that we are, on top of what is going on, which I think is important, and making sure that we're really dialed into everything that's going on. As always, I'm here every single day trying to put the content out. You can grab me here and look at these social media platforms, TikTok, X, and Instagram, although I don't post a lot on Instagram and I probably should do, but definitely grab me on these two platforms. Don't forget, if you are interested, join my free Discord. Links in the description. Also, don't forget, it's on my bio on here as well. So definitely check that one out. What have you just sent me, Rob, before I go? If you want to get access to the premium Discord, by the way, then just grab a channel membership or a subscription here on TikTok as well. Access to that premium Discord trade server if you are interested. We always welcome anyone in there. If you've got views, opinions, and you want to, showcase some trades, get in there. That's what it's all about. And it's all about building a great community on the back of it. So let me just see what you sent me. Tap the like. Where do we get to? 15K likes. That's fine. I'm not stressing about that. Here we go then. Here we go, baby. Look at this. You massive chopper. Bruh, what? H-bar 2026. Honestly, people used to call me Bobby from King of the Hill. It looks like my, there you go. Look. Yeah, appreciate that. Oh, you guys can't see it. Hey. Why has it done that? There we go. Hey. Oh, dear. Get the hell out of here. Anyway. Right, on that absolute bombshell, thank you so much, everybody. Don't forget, I will not be live tomorrow, but we will have content out there. Remember, macro and Bitcoin update, 11:30 UK time, followed by altcoins, all your favorite coins, whatever it is, at about 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon. And as always, I'm going to be back Sunday night, bringing you all the latest and greatest in cryptocurrency. So before then, make sure you hit the follow button. If you're there on TikTok, hit the subscribe button and drop us a like here on YouTube as well. As always, I appreciate you guys. Let me see that image again on the PC. Okay, fine. I appreciate you guys absolutely giving me your support. It does mean a lot. It does mean a lot, actually, because this would be no fun at all. This would be no fun at all, actually, if we didn't have a community or we didn't have anything else. So again, shout out to you guys. Shout out to the TikTok fam. Really starting to build a great community everywhere. So massive thank you from me. And yeah, back Sunday night. As always, appreciate your time. And the course legends, it's about to get good.